Welcome to the Power of Integrity podcast, where leadership aligns with principles. I'm Ralph Adamo, your host, and I'm delighted to have Marilyn Alauria here with us today. Marilyn is a psychic medium, a teacher, and a mentor. We are going to have a delightful conversation, not just about integrity, but about some of those softer issues in life and some of the softer tissue things that go on and how energy, because in the words of Nikola Tesla, he said to study the secrets of the universe, we must study energy, frequency, and vibration. And I think we're going to be in for a delightful vibe today. Marilyn, welcome.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting this. I want everybody to know who listens that when Ralph reached out to me, I'm like, oh, interesting. Wasn't expecting this kind of conversation from you. So I'm excited about it.
Yes, it should be wonderful. So that our audience knows a little bit more about you. I'm sure their interest already peaked when we talked about a psychic medium. We're talking about a teacher and a mentor. Maybe you can share a little bit about your personal professional journey and what you're doing today, but what led up to all of that, because I'm sure they are curious.
Yeah, I will give we all have a story, right? So I'll give it the really short Cliff Notes version of it. I've had psychic ability since I was little, but didn't know it. And I worked in TV first. So I worked behind the scenes at MTV, NBC Olympics. If on video, you'll see I have a Emmy back there from NBC Olympics. And I always wanted to act. So I started pursuing acting and I became the lead in an off-Broadway play, Tony and Tina's Wedding in Manhattan, and that was going well. And then my gifts were opening up quite a bit, and it was becoming very. I couldn't ignore them anymore. I was seeing things. I was seeing deceased people. I was getting information. It was just precognitive dreaming. Dreams were coming true. So I moved to LA shortly after 9/11 because 9/11 really freaked me out, and my abilities were opening up, and my empathic ability. And when I came to LA, it got even stronger. And I went to see a psychic, and she said, the dead are trying to reach you. And it's not what you want to hear when you go to a psychic. So she's like, you need to talk to a medium. And I went to a medium. And the minute she walked in the room, she said, you're a medium. And the floodgates opened. So this whole other career that had been lying dormant inside of me, these just opened up. And I had to learn how to work with it. I didn't want to do it. I was still acting at the time, and I was running a bookkeeping business. And as I started to study, I felt like I came home to my soul. I felt like it was fully aligned. And I started doing readings, and I became very successful right out the gate. Like things just happened for me. They all flowed. And I was leaving to do a short film, and I was working on a murder case as a medium. And I was like, I don't want to act anymore. I have no interest in acting. I just want to throw everything I have into this. And I became a reader full time, and I had a waiting list of people. And like I said, I was super successful. And I was also teaching on the side, teaching people to develop their gifts. And this is where integrity comes in for me. I didn't like how much people were depending on me to give them life answers. Like, should I have this baby? Should I get divorced? Should I leave law school? And I wanted to show people that they could tap into their inner wisdom inside themselves and get those answers for themselves. And they're much more powerful that way. So I changed my business and shifted it to teaching people to do it for themselves. And now I've grown into other iterations as well.
Wonderful. Well, that is integrity, turning people back in on themselves and making sure
Yeah.
they find their true self and are committed to that. That's really pretty powerful. But I thought maybe for a moment we'd talk about Tony and Tina's wedding. What fascinating and fun.
Talk about manifestation. I was leaving NBC. I left already, and I got that like 4 months after I left NBC. And I was walking around the city going, I want to act for a living. I want to get married, and I want to find inner peace. And two of those things came true. I was acting for a living, and I was getting married every single night. But the inner peace part was the one that sent me on this other journey. And I remember sitting there going, wow, everything came true, but the inner peace, where's the inner peace? And yeah, that's been a journey.
I don't want to rip out a scab or tear anything off. I don't think there is one. I'm sure the wound is well
Mm.
healed, but so that our audience can maybe, because you're an empath, right? Very
Yeah.
empathetic and can feel things that many times a large group of us put aside or set aside, oppress and suppress. But so, what were you feeling when you weren't feeling that sense of peace and ease? How was it manifesting for you? Maybe some of that insight might be helpful for our audience.
It's a good question. I I was feeling a lot. I think that's what made it, and I didn't know how to manage it. But I was feeling a lot of anxiety, fear, worry that things weren't working out. I kept like pursuing different avenues and they didn't seem to be working out for me. So it was a lot of emotions. I would say a lot of depression too at certain
Mhm.
periods of my life, but I was in a lot of therapy and working on myself. So I was constantly doing the work, but the empathic ability, which can be quite daunting for a lot of people, so they shut down their hearts. I did the opposite. I opened my heart and learned how to work with it because our heart is a truth center and we need it. But I definitely had a lot of those experiences where confusion, depression, sadness, didn't know which end was up, that kind of a feeling. That was what was going on.
And Marilyn, how does the uninitiated, these questions are all coming organically because we had a whole prepared list, but with a fascinating subject like you, this is going to be the conversation to me is fascinating. But how was it, or how would you suggest when you talk to your folks about opening their heart? Where do you send them, and what does that mean? Because I hear it, but I don't know exactly what is meant by it.
Yeah, and obviously I can tell you're somebody who lives by your heart because you wouldn't even have that question, right? I know you're empathic yourself. Are you?
I don't know that I have those precognitions, but I certainly like to live in the flow by understanding that the unseen energy is directing a lot of the activity around me, if not all of it.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. So we shut down our hearts to protect ourselves. So empaths tend to feel, I could feel what you're feeling. I could go into a store and just feel what somebody's feeling next to me. And if they're feeling depressed, then I walk out of the store and I'm depressed and I'm like, if you don't understand what's going on, you can have this experience of, why am I feeling depressed right now? I don't even know. And people are picking that up. And I'll give you a story, illustrate a story really fast. I'm very strong with physical space as well. So I was doing a tour. I was being filmed, recorded for a tour, and they took me to this park. And I knew nothing about the park, and they wanted me to enter into the park. It was like a ghost tour, but I didn't. The park was beautiful. It was green. It was lush, and I would not go in the park. And they were like, "You have to go in. We need you to go into the park." And I was like, "I do not want to step foot in this park." And when I had to step in because I was doing the tour and they were recording everything I was experiencing, I learned later on that the park was built on a graveyard. So empaths will pick up that type of energy. And what they do is they shut down their heart. But our heart is our truth center. Our heart tells us where to go, what to do, who to talk to, what coach to hire, what business to run. And so I teach people how to be comfortable with that part of themselves, embrace it, know how to take care of yourself in it, but also allow it to be the guiding light. It's so important that it lights the way for us and shows us where to go. But I'll say this real quick. I know I can't go into many crowds, or if I go into a crowd, I have to do something in order to protect myself so that I'm not walking away with everybody's energy on top of me. And I know how to do that. I play tennis. If there's any place that you could get a lot of energy is on the tennis court. And I'm able to do it. I'm able to be around a lot of people and not be able to absorb everything that they're feeling in the moment, or to recognize it's not mine and be able to get rid of it.
So, for those that are the empaths that are unwittingly picking up on others' energy and potentially carrying that with them, what are some of the tools, techniques, or things that they need to be mindful of to potentially to leave it where it belongs and not take it with them? What have you learned, and what are some of those insights? Because you're describing some of the folks that I, encounter where they carry that luggage and baggage as if it's their own and it never was their own.
Yeah, and we see so many people now engaging we're in the States, they're engaging in all the political stuff that's going on in the States, which I stay away from, and they're letting it affect them to such a degree. There's so many tools. I have classes on my website about this. It's called the empathic classes, but I want to give you one of the most important tools. The most important tool that I can give someone is, before you enter into a space with other people, take a moment, tune into your own heart, and notice how you feel. Take note of that. And then when you go into the space with people, you're going to pick up energy and emotions. Just notice what's happening, become conscious of it. And when you leave, Notice if you shifted. If all of a sudden you were happy, you went in and talked to people, and all of a sudden you're feeling depressed, recognize it's not yours. That recognition alone will help you to release it. And then you can do different things like cutting cords. I say, Archangel Michael, cut the cords, drop down a platinum net, remove all this energy from my physical body. You can even stamp on the ground. You could touch a tree. I do certain imagery things. Like when I had to do this, I don't have to do it anymore. I would run in a park, and these men, they were so sweet. They were older men. They always wanted to talk to me, and I just would want to run. So I'd surround myself in pink roses, envision pink roses. Every time I did that, they didn't even notice me. Like, it works. I became invisible. So there are different tools that people can use. And really, what I want to tell everyone is you're the power, you're the instrument, you're the person who's got the power to do it. So it's as much as we can have all these different tools. If you believe it, it'll work.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting how we're getting around to the two most important words for this show, which is integrity and authenticity. And
Yeah.
you're literally leading people back to being their authentic selves and having that integrity. So when we think about the word integrity, what does it mean to you when you define it for yourself?
I think it's one of the most important words of my business. And I imagine it is with you too. And I didn't even realize I was integral until I started opening up my psychic abilities. And I was working with a group of people. We were studying together, and I organized the group. I'm really good at organizing people and bringing them together. And one of the women turned around to me and said, "Man, you have so much integrity." And that's when I recognized that I do. So, integrity for me is not taking advantage of other people, really being honest about who I am, what I do, how I serve, and how I can serve you, and not just making a sale because I want to make a sale. I want it to be the best thing for both of us at that moment in time. So, integrity for me is living by a code of ethics, morals. I was raised Catholic, and I'm really glad I was, because we were taught back in Brooklyn, um, how to really live by this morals, not to take advantage of people. And that to me is what integrity is. I am not going to take I'm going to take care of myself, but I'm not going to do something to you, a disadvantage to you, to advantage, have an advantage for myself. It's not worth it to me. What's integrity to you?
Well, that's it. Thank you for turning the tables on me. I want to add a little color. You
Yeah.
mentioned Brooklyn. We both grew up in Brooklyn. I was on 2nd and 61st Street because it was
Oh,
262, 61st Street. So it was 2nd and 61st.
we were
Right.
close.
Yeah, right up the block. And when you said raised Catholic, yes, cradle Catholic. That's another common denominator. Wow. And I'm trying to remember, Our Lady of Perpetual Help was the diocese. Was that true?
That's insane. You're like in my neighborhood. OLPH was one of the parishes. We were in St. Anselm's Parish, and I went to a different school, but yeah,
Yes, I was
that's
4 when we
crazy.
left, so I did not go to school in Brooklyn. Uh,
Wow.
Interesting. Wow. What does integrity mean to I wanted there was one more thing I wanted to cover. I love
Sure.
the fact that you pronounced it the pronunciation of integral. So many folks roll over that word. It's probably more accurate to be integral, but I think it loses its connection with its root of integrity when it's not pronounced as
Mm,
integral. Because when things are integral, they're integrated, they're
I like
sound,
it.
they fit together. Yes. So, integrity, I've got all the normal nomenclature, doing things right when no one else is looking, regardless
Mm,
if they see it or not, having that transparency, having that honesty. I mean, the the definitions from so many guests when I asked this question have spanned so wide to being consistent and making sure there's constancy in what we do. So we're highly predictable, we're trustworthy, all
yes.
of those things that integrity can embody. Now, one of the things that it means also to me, and from some research and then its application in our business, there was some marketing research. An archaic definition of integrity is seeing things through to completion, and you can
Mm,
see why that would be connected. And
yeah.
so for me, that's really important. There's like one of my business coaches over the years said there's four basic things all of us need to adopt in life to be in the 5% class, not the bottom 95%. And you need to show up on time, say please and thank you, just basic common courtesies. But then he
Mhm.
said you need to do what you say you're going to do, and you need to finish what you start.
Oh, I like that.
And I thought, geez, those two things are the separators, right? The other two are common courtesies. Those last two, doing what you say you're going to do and finishing what you start, that to me is integrity.
I love that. I've never heard it described in that way, but I agree with it. So thank you for that.
Well,
It's great.
appreciate I appreciate you asking and turning the tables. I had it must be the entertainers. We had a woman on not too long ago who was part of The Bachelor as
Wow.
one of the back people. So she was in entertainment, and she literally had a list of questions that I had to answer in the show. So if it goes there, I'm all yours. You'll be the host. I'll be the guest.
Yeah, I usually do that, and I have to be careful of it because I'm so quick to turn the tables around and take the attention off of me and put it on someone else too. So I'm like, but I like learning about people. I think that we can learn so much in conversation. So I
Well,
appreciate that.
that's a sign of intellect and care. That's what that's about.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you think about integrity, was there? I already know you're living your life of integrity, and what
Yeah.
I love is you're not making yourself the guru, and not to steal that cliche from Tony Robbins, but he said, "I'm not your guru." Stuart Wilde, I think, said it better in The Force. He wrote a book and he did a tape set on it, but he said, anyone that says, "Come follow me, I know the way," couldn't possibly know the way.
Oh, interesting.
That we,
Wow.
that we need to turn the light in on ourselves. We need
Mm.
to reflect in because there is, right? There's maybe one truth, but many knowers. There's one destination, but many paths, and those paths are endless through each of us, in my opinion.
I'm assuming you teach people that through your coaching and through your work. Is that, I mean, this is the title of your podcast, so I'm sure it's a big part of what you do. Is that correct?
Well, I do try to fuse the essence of meaning and purpose to the practical aspects of money and what we're doing in life. So
Love that.
that part is true. Yes, I don't always make it my forum because then it's all about me to teach and instruct. But if you hang around me long enough, especially in an informal setting, I can't help myself, like probably like you, and speak my truth. So
Yeah. Oof, that's a big one. Oh my goodness.
right? Revealing so many of the warts and so many of the dings and dents and the
Ugh.
self-inflicted. When I go to the birthday book, and I don't know who looks at, Lord knows why I brought that up, but I'm bringing it up. I'm an Italian kid from Brooklyn, New York, and I can't help myself sometimes, and I know exactly what I'm going to say right after I said it. That's me. So the birthday book in there under my birthday is the mischievous maverick. And my mom used to call me, she said, "Son, you're so mischievous. What is going on with you?" I said, "Well, I don't, I just, I like to tinker with stuff outside the line sometimes. It just, all convention is a little boring." So
Yeah,
yeah, I love to flirt with the unseen for sure.
I love that. And we're Italian too, the two of us. So we have a lot of commonality. There's a lot of common.
Other than you growing up a decade or so later than I in Brooklyn, for sure. That's the interesting part. We were right
I
there.
don't know if it's a decade because you said you left in 65,
I
right?
was born in '61.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was born in 65.
All right, half a decade
So
almost.
we're close.
It's just wearing a lot better on you.
Oh, I think it's fine on you too, so don't worry about it.
Thank you.
I'm amazed. Like, so you're 64,
4. Yeah.
and I'm going to be 60 in December.
Oh, beautiful. The big 6-0.
Yeah, I'm looking
All
forward
right.
to it.
Well, kind of back to our show a little bit.
Yes. Sorry about that, guys.
No, people are having fun with us. Absolutely. So, on the topic, when you've encountered a counterparty, I don't know, it could have been a client customer coming in, it could have been you were trying to work through a contract on Broadway or whatever it was. You encountered someone in your life, personally or professionally, who did not bring integrity to the equation. At least they didn't bring it for that encounter and episode. can you speak about that without breaching any confidence?
Yeah,
And then speak to your reaction to how you dealt with it.
I definitely can. And I'm not somebody who throws somebody under the bus, so I wouldn't name people. I
Jim and
find,
Tom and Joe.
yeah, right. Here are the names.
Yeah,
I,
and
I
here's where they used to live on the block. Those two.
exactly. I never understand that type of behavior. That to me is not integral either. So I find in the spiritual community, when I entered into the spiritual community as a psychic medium, and I was surrounded by a lot of other spiritual teachers, because right away I got on telesummits and stuff, I could not believe how many of them lacked integrity, that they led with ego. And it was really a horrifying thing to see. And at first, and they were very successful, they were doing really, really well. And it can become a thing where you're like, well, am I supposed to be that way? Am I supposed to speak untruths, which I never would? It just doesn't work for me. Or am I supposed to just sell the product because you just about selling it, whether it's going to help the person or not? And I found it really difficult and I backed away. I had to back away from those circles. I couldn't participate with those people. I am probably the least woo woo person you'll ever meet in your life because I could not stand the amount of unicorn, and I love unicorns, unicorn writing people that were not grounded in practicality and that really were just speaking a lot of fluff. And people were so desperate to hear something that they were following these people, and they weren't showing them how to do what they know how to do. Instead they were just talking at them to get it. Felt cultish to me,
Yes.
and I don't like that behavior at all. So I would see those types of people and I would back away from them right away and would not have anything to do with them or participate with them at all. What's upsetting to me sometimes, now I don't follow them, so I stay out of their field completely. But if I see the amount of followers they have, I'm kind of like amazed, and it's bothersome to me that they're pulling the wool over so many people's eyes. Do they know they're pulling the wool? Some of them do. Some of them don't.
Yeah, there's conscious incompetence and unconscious incompetence,
Yeah. Yeah,
right? I
exactly.
don't know which the conscious incompetent is the one that worries me that knows they're not doing
Because they're
good
manipulating.
anyhow. Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I see it more in there. And then I also see it I see it mostly in sales, people, how they sell. And that is the part that has been like a little bit of a struggle for me because I'm learning from those those straight-laced people how to sell. And there are definitely certain tactics that I just can't get on board with no matter what. I can't sell you something if I don't think it's going to help you or if it's not going to be a fit for you. Have Will people come out and say I bought her product and it didn't? They might, for sure, because if they're not doing the work, then it's not going to help them. But if I'm selling somebody like a coaching package or my next level living program, these are like 7K to 15K products. I can't sell it to you if I don't think you're going to do the work and show up. And I have told people no. Now, that has maybe hurt my sales more than other people because I see people just go out and sell, sell, sell no matter what. I can't do it. So I'm curious what you think about that because I'm interested in finding the way that is constantly authentic and organic in that way. And I got it. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I feel that people are tired of the wool being pulled over their eyes. So they are looking for the more grounded coach, the more honest coach that's really going to tell them the truth.
Yeah, thank you for raising that, and thank you for that explanation and what you experienced. That's not fun. So there's something I picked up along the way about selling because I think selling can be noble, but
Yeah.
you have to ask yourself: is selling something you do to people or something you do for people?
Hmm.
Doing it to people's manipulation, doing it for people's a noble endeavor.
Yeah.
When it's because usually the person who, well, hopefully the person who has something to offer has a greater command and grasp of the material and the terrain that they can help the other individual navigate that path quicker than they could have on their own.
I
So
agree.
so sometimes convincing people to do some things that they might be a little loath or slow to do can be in that individual's best interest, so long as we see that we are making progress for them and not progress for ourselves only.
I
That's
agree. Sorry, go ahead. Finish that thought.
No, no, no. So my thought branches off into something else. You said you see a lot of people follow, and I'm going to tie a couple things together. I don't think I talked about this on the show yet, but have you watched Know Your Why and Simon Sinek in his TED Talk?
No, I know. I think I did watch it a long time ago, but I have a different take on it. But go ahead.
All right. So Simon Sinek, it took me 5 or 6 times of rewatch. I said, "What's the big thing about Know Your Why? Know Your Why?
Yeah.
Know Your Why?" Well, he says there's this small part of the brain called the amygdala, which does
Mm,
not understand or speak or act in words. It acts in impressions and sensations. And so, when an individual is convincing, it's because usually they have conviction and commitment. Now,
mhm.
whether or not they have that commitment and conviction appropriately makes the difference between a charlatan con person and someone authentic. In the words of Bertrand Russell, that 18th century philosopher mathematician, he said, "People seek less your information than they do your confidence."
I
What are they,
agree.
right? So many people.
Yep.
How many people went to Guyana Guyana with Jim Jones
Yeah.
and drank the Kool-Aid that was poison because they bought into it, and Heaven's Gate and their poison consumption because they believed the leader knew where he was going? Come follow me. I know the way. I know our path to heaven. Really? You knew the path by taking
Yeah.
people's lives? That seems totally illogical to me. And I think that the thinking person should be able to evaluate, like you were sharing without saying the words. The thinking person should be able to follow their truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shouldn't be woo woo and foo foo.
Yeah. Or not having the person's best interest in their mind. So I agree with you. To me, sales are an invitation. I know that what I offer is going to help you. I know that if you do the work, it's going to help change your life. If I find someone who is stuck in victimization or really has psychological imbalances that should be more with a therapist than someone like me, that's when I'm going to be like, you're not for me. You need to go to this person. This is not my expertise. So I agree with you. For me, it's an invitation. I understand the why, my way, the way that I like to do things. And I agree with that whole conversation. So that's where it becomes important to me.
It sounds like the therapist is for when the person has had that injury, that trauma, they're a little broken and they're trying to mend and they're finding the remedy, where you're actually inviting people to level up from a norm to a whole new level of exploration. Was that
Yes,
an accurate understanding?
it is. It's more of the type of approach. So the person could have, like, I've had a lot of trauma. You could come into work with me. I teach intuition and developing your skills and then applying it to your business decisions and applying it to do your mission driven business. That's what my programs are about now. So the person could come to me with trauma, but they're approaching it from a different perspective. They're not approaching it like this happened to me. They're approaching it, okay, this happened for me, and I healed a bit with it. I'm learning about it. I know it's still affecting me, but now I want to help others too. So that's the difference there. Where the person is still mirrored in the pain, who wants to stay in the pain, that's not the person for me anymore.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm betting they're not even conscious that they want to stay in the pain. That's just what's happening. It's the reflex that's happening, that this happened to me and I can't see that it could be empowering. And how do you take those lemons and turn them into lemonade in a way?
Yeah, it's true.
Easier said than done for sure.
It's true. I
Easier.
think a lot of this is coming from I also switched audiences. So that's integrity too. I've been in business for 18 years, had a super successful membership. I was teaching a certain community for such a long time. It was going great. I wrote a book, guides. And then I had to shift because I could no longer help them where they were at. And I had to release them. And they were the people who were amazing. They were so beautiful. They were gifted, but they weren't looking to move to the level where I was going. So I think you have to know your audience too. Like that's where integrity comes in for me too. Like I have to be honest with myself first, and then I can bring my work out into with others. I hope that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that that group of clients today reflects your ambitions and aspirations. And we call them ideal clients. Like
Yes.
our we have a brochure. It's called the Ideal Client, in which we've listed out what are the characteristics of what makes a good client, because not everybody makes a good client, and good marketing should not only attract the right people, it should repel the folks that really aren't appropriate.
Yeah, and those people need to go someplace else, which is somebody else is really good for them.
Correct.
So it's another avenue. Yes.
Absolutely, another avenue. So our younger audience, I always love to ask our guests if they can share a little bit about, if you were to go back and think about the accelerants in your career, and share it with a younger generation who's starting out, whether in the corporate world, the nonprofit, maybe they're in entertainment. What would you say are some of those insights that you reflect on that have always served you well?
That's a really good question. Um, I think for me, it's always being honest with myself, pausing, noticing how I feel in a job, in a situation, and not going from outside in, going from inside out. What do I need to correct? What needs to be, where does my attention need to go? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? And then shifting from there. So I think of all my different careers, like working at MTV and then going to NBC and Fox and then back to MTV, like all the different things in entertainment. There was always a moment in time where I was feeling a little bit unhappy, and I had to get real with myself about what I needed to shift and change and then make that change. And I feel like that promoted my career as well, because at one point I wasn't being recognized at MTV the way that I felt I should. So I left and went to NBC. And then when I went back to MTV, they saw me at a much higher level. Like, it was only 8 months. So I feel like it's always reflecting on myself. Where am I at? Am I happy? And not expecting someone else to give me that happiness, finding it for myself.
Yeah, going inside, cultivating and curating a
Yeah.
better me, right? And it's really not cultivating a better me. It's actually probably peeling back some of the barnacles and moving them off, and finding the authentic me, and then being
Yeah.
it. Yeah. It's been wonderful. What a wonderful. If folks, as we're rounding the corner here, if folks want to get in touch with you for your services, or just interested in a conversation with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I'm going to give two things that I think are really good. Right now, I have a Discover Your Purpose ebook, and it's really good because I use a life formula. It's life experience plus skills plus passion equals purpose. And you can use this formula with offers, with your business, with even if you're in a corporate setting. It's going to help you to know yourself in such a way that you're continuing to dial in why you're doing what you're doing. So that's marilynalauria.com/purpose. And then they can just come to my website, marilynalauria.com, and they can see all the different offers I have. I have an assistant, but I do answer emails. So she sends things to me if I'm supposed to answer them. And I'm very active on Instagram and my personal Facebook page. So those are all Marilyn Alauria.
Wonderful. This has been a wonderful conversation
Thank you.
with you, Mara, and I really appreciate it. And for any of the other folks out there listening in, if you want to be on the Power of Integrity podcast, reach out to us. You can find us at 949-955-1188. Be happy to. You can also find us on the web at integrityiwm.com. I'm Ralph Adamo, your host, and we've been here having a fascinating conversation with Marilyn Alauria. I really appreciate it. Wonderful psychic medium, teacher, and mentor, and I learned a lot today, and I really appreciate your time and your energy and your presence.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
The information presented in this program is provided for informational purposes only. The information is believed to be reliable, but no guarantee of accuracy is made or implied. Expressions of opinions are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult a legal or tax professional. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of capital. Ralph Adamo is registered with the securities and are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA. SIPC, 6451 North Federal Highway, Suite 1201, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33308. Telephone number 954-782-4771. Investment advisory services are offered through Kovac Advisors Inc. Integrity Wealth Management is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc.